So right now I'm working on making a gas tank for the shopping cart go-kart. I got these two pieces of 5-inch aluminum tubing from PFI. They were in Brent's like scrap bin, and these were the two biggest pieces. He didn't have anything like long enough that I could just use as one whole piece, so I just got these two and I'm gonna weld them together because I do want it to be a little wider than like just to have this one. I got the edges of these two pieces cleaned up pretty good, so I'm gonna weld these together, and then after I get that all welded up, I have these two circles that I cut out with sheet metal shears from a flat piece of aluminum. It's pretty thin, but it will still be plenty thick. I still need to clean up the edges, but then I will weld those on right there on both sides, and then once those are welded on, I'm going to cut a hole in the top of this whole thing, and then I got this weld-on fuel cap off eBay, and I'm just gonna cut a hole and then weld that guy on right like that, and then I can fill it up, and then I have to add a nipple or something on the bottom to get the gas out of the tank and feed the motor. But I will worry about that once I get everything else welded up. But for right now, I'm gonna get these two pieces welded together, then I will add the plates on after I get that done. Okay, so I'm picking back up on this video. I made this gas tank for the shopping cart go-kart about a month ago, and I'm just now getting back into it and finishing it all up. So I actually did make these tabs to mount it today. I just did that, and then I think I left off with just getting everything welded up, and I also did have to grind off some threads on the inside of this cap right here because I welded it a little too hot right in there, so it kind of like blobbed out from the inside, and then this cap wouldn't go all the way down. But I just took a Dremel to that and cleaned that out of there, so now it shuts just fine once I get it lined up. So yeah, that shuts fine now. And also today I drilled a hole in the bottom of the tank, and then I ran a 1/8 inch MPT tap through it, and then right under there is a 1/8 inch barb fitting, and then I have just a gas line going to that, and then to the carburetor. I don't think this line is really made for gas, but it's just something I had laying around, and I will be using it for now. And I might change this fitting to a 90 later, just because I don't like how low it comes down, so I might have it like 90 and come straight off. It might just look a little cleaner, but I still have it up above the carburetor, so it can still gravity feed just fine. That's also why the gas tank is mounted so high up, so I don't have to get any sort of little vacuum pump to get the gas up into the carburetor. I can still just pour gas right into it, and it will just gravity feed right into the carb like it should. And I kind of like the mounting spot right there, kind of high up. It looks pretty good. And what I have not showed you guys at all yet, I was also working on this today, working on fixing up all the wiring, and I just made this little plate to hold all the electronics. So right now I just have it zip tied down. I was gonna weld it to this back piece, but I figured I might change it up later on, so I want to be able to take it off. So this right here is like the little, I forgot what this thing's called, but you need it to recharge the battery. And then I got the starter relay, the coil, and the CDI. And all this is just a flat piece of metal, and I have some bolts welded to it where everything needs to go. So these two bolts are welded to that plate, and then I just put this thing on, put the bolts on it, or the nuts I mean. Then there's also another one welded right there, put the nut on that one. And then for the starter relay, I have two tabs just welded on, so that just kind of slides on like that, and that should not go anywhere. And it's kind of nice that it's on this like back piece, so I can just flip it down when I don't need it, and it's nice and tucked out of the way, and all the electronics are going to be right there. And then when I need to work on stuff, I can just unhook everything and flip this back up and get to it really easily. So what I'm going to be working on right now is getting the starter hooked up, because I want to run a push button switch to the front to the electric start, and I also need to find a place to mount the kill switch through this key right here. So I did go to Ace Hardware and I got a momentary push button switch, which I'm going to be using for the starter. So once you hold it down, it'll turn it over, and when you let go, it stops cranking the motor. I just got some wire for it, and I'm going to have to extend a lot of these wires for the wiring harness as well, especially to this key, because the key only reaches like maybe halfway out. So I'm gonna have to cut all those and extend all the wires to run it to the front. I think I'm gonna make like a little panel coming off right here with the push button and then the key right next to it, and I don't know, just go from there. And then I need to get the battery mounted up as well. So right now I just have it resting on the floor, and I'm thinking I'm gonna mount it about right here, just kind of as far back as I can in this general area, because I still need to put a brake on this thing at some point, and I want to put a disc brake like right here, and it's going to be about the same size as this sprocket, so I need some room for that to clear. So I'm going to put this battery probably sit it right about there. I'm just gonna have to run some tabs underneath to hold it up, and then I'll make a little bracket to clamp the battery down. But I would like to get all the wiring hooked back up and then run some wire to the front to the starter switch, and then just get it all working, and then make sure the starter comes on, make sure it turns the motor over, and just everything works how it should. And then I can work on cleaning up all the wiring once I get everything figured out. So my goal just for tonight is to get all the wiring hooked back up, make sure everything's working like it should. I'm not gonna get like the push button mounted yet or the key switch mounted yet, but I do wanna get all the wires ran where they need to be and just make sure everything's working as it should. The battery's probably dead, but I do wanna try to fire up the motor and just make sure it's all running like it should. So I'll get back to you guys once I do that. So I don't think I'm gonna really film much of it. It's pretty straightforward stuff. I just gotta get all this stuff hooked back up. So I'll get back to you guys when I get it all put together. So I've been hooking everything back up as far as wiring goes, and I got some gas in the gas tank, getting ready to fire it up. But it turns out that the momentary push button that I got is a always on, and then when you push it, it turns it off. So it's actually backwards of what I need. So when it's just sitting like this, if I hook up the other positive to this side, the starter motor will just go, and then if I push it in, it'll stop. So that is not what I want. I want it to be where it's off when I'm not pushing it, and then, you know, push it down and it starts, obviously. So I do have to go take this switch back and get a different one. So I need one that says momentary on push button switch. This is a momentary off push button. So grab the wrong switch, but I will get that tomorrow. And real quick, I'm gonna try to fire it up for you guys and just show you that everything is working. And then in the next few days, I'm gonna try to mount everything up in the front of the cart. But for now, I'm just gonna run it like this, just to show you guys that it works. So right when I put this clip on, it's gonna try to fire up. And I actually did fire it up just a little bit ago, just to warm it up. So it will start on camera for me, because it kinda takes a while when it's cold. So here we go. So as you can see, runs great. The electric start works just fine. I just got to get a new push button switch, and then I'll get everything mounted up front. I'm going to extend the wires for that key switch and then run it all the way up to the front, so then I can have access to it. And like I said, probably put a panel like right here. I'm probably just gonna bend some sheet metal, then I'll just have the push button and then the switch next to it. And then I may drill a hole like in this tubing right here and then run the wires like through the chassis of the go-kart, I guess you'd call it, and then have the wires come out right there, so it'll look a lot cleaner than just having wires running along the inside of the cart. But I think that's as far as I'm going to get for tonight. Like I said, there will be more stuff to come for this. I just got to clean up the wiring and pretty much just get everything working. I still need to order some brakes for this thing because it's still kind of sketchy to drive without brakes. And I may have to beef up the gas tank mounts because when it's running, this kind of like wiggles around because these tabs are kind of flimsy. They're plenty to hold the weight, but it bounces around a little bit. So I might make a third mount coming off like the center right here and like have it go through this hole, and then it won't go anywhere if I do that. But yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. So that's where I'm at on the shopping cart go-kart for now. There will be more to come, and thanks for watching.